Tell us a story.
Yes, tell us a story.
All righty. Again, it's nice and cool, but it's a little drier than it was. Let the gopher warm up before we get in. I've told you about working down at places like Fine Line Graphics and a couple of guys I worked with down there. The one guy that had the, I believe it was a 72 shovel, more of a bobber than a chopper type of thing. And the one that wanted to get out of there after the ladies came to the back door of the stage door and told him it was a nice scooter. He told me another time when he was out after working 12, 16-hour shift. He was beat down. He'd been doing that all week long. And he was getting ready to head out home. Went out, kicked it, and kicked it, and kicked it, and kicked it, and got it started. And he always wore those. He always wore jeans, and he wore the chaps. And they were open crotch, open butt chaps, so he could set on the scooter and stuff. He had just a small seat pan with a piece of leather on it, basically just a metal seat pan with a piece of leather on it. It was bolted at the front, had springs in the back, so it gave a little bit of relief from that hardtail. He had a very narrow, it was either a 19 or 20 inch front wheel on it. So I mean, that was kind of the thing. Had the 4-inch in the back and had the like an 1.5 or 2 inch or whatever in the front. The whole look to that type of bike. He said he always had to be careful riding home. I mean, he was really tired riding home from Dayton, from the 5th and 3rd Street areas and stuff, because some of those places between the General Motors plants and different things, they were still cobblestone. The streets weren't really streets. They were like alleyways or whatever. And you had to watch being cobblestone on those bikes because they just jitter and move all over. He came down one time, he said, after he'd worked a long shift, and he was really tired, and he just wasn't paying as much attention as he should have. He dropped the wheel into where a cobblestone had been missing up next to like a train track or a trolley track, iron track that probably delivered stuff between the buildings. And he said it wedged down in there, and he was almost asleep, and it started to go over, and he tried to pull he had highway pegs on the so he had forward shifters, and his boot top hit the top of the magneto on his way down and hit up against the jeans underneath where the shaps had flared up, hit underneath that onto the boot top. And he wore those jeans, but they were button-down jeans. And when his leg hit the top of that magneto and grounded to the hot wire, it ran up his leg. And he said he was commando. He didn't have any underwear on. And where those the button front jeans, it grounded him to the pan bolt on that seat pan. He said it burned the end of his member so severely. He screamed and yelled. It burned the end of his member so severely. He said for the next month and a half, every time he had to relieve himself, he was remembered of that stupidity of that accident. Well, needless to say, he told me that he put a rubber boot around the top end on that karate magneto so that he would hope that would never happen again, because he said back then when he was telling me, he said, to this day, every time I urinate, I'm remembered of that. Kind of funny. We all laughed. Alrighty, she should be warm enough. Let's see if we can get in there and start our day. Let's ride. Yeah, I can imagine how bad that would have been, because I've touched electric fences and stuff like that on the farm, and I've known of people, kids that would took a challenge to pee on what was called a weed burner, and that's where the weeds would grow up so far to an electric wire stretched around, and when the weeds would touch that and ground themselves out, it would sear them off. It would burn them off. So the weed burners were much, much more powerful than just an electric fence. And I've felt an electric fence, so I can only imagine what the grounding of that magneto, what it was putting out, would feel like in that very sensitive area. So we're going to get in here and get to work, put in our day, have some fun. We'll see ya.
Story time is over.
Damn, that was annoying.